This is
Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Website 101 podcast, our bi-monthly live that we call Lunch Bytes. I am Amanda Lutz. Hello, thank you. With me are Sean and Mike, and
Hi.
Mike is delightful and has surprised me with a welcome home balloon.
I have to be honest with you here. I thought this is a
not for
cool
me.
thing to do, right? It's not it wasn't originally for you. My wife got back from a trip recently and I got her that, and it's still here because it's helium mylar.
Aren't you sweet?
So Amanda just got back from Japan, Japanda, as I like to call her. And
Doesn't
how
count.
was the trip?
Yeah, love to hear about it.
It was amazing. So, spoiler, both myself and my partner Andrew had milestone birthdays this year. We'll leave it at that. And we were talking about things that we wanted to do for our birthday years. And Andrew decided, like, last summer, he completely came up with it on his own. And he's like, what if I surprised the family and just planned a vacation? And I was like, yes, do that. And he's like, I don't think you understand. It's going to be a surprise. You're not going to know. I'm not going to tell you where we're going. Like scheduling, I needed to know when and for how long. But he's like, you're not going to know. And I was like, yes, like that sounds
Don't have to do any work.
fantastic. Yeah. And so
Sounds awesome.
he planned it. He got it ready. He booked the flight. He started looking into the stuff. And then at around Christmas, he was like, part of the fun of a vacation when you're planning it is planning it with other people. Where are we going to go and what are we going to see? And I'm interested in this, but what do you all think? And so I think that he was kind of missing some of that feeling. So he decided for Christmas to tell us where we were going to be going. But because he is a bit of a jerk, and that's why I love him, leading up to it, he would like make us guess. Where do you think we're going? And well, you're going to have to pack hiking shoes and a bathing suit and mittens. And like he would always constantly just throw us off the trail because that's what he does. So we had lots
Did you
of
guess
guesses.
before you revealed it?
Not correctly. Our child guessed Disney. And so we opened up at Christmas this present, and there was a card, and inside it was like, Malcolm was right, we're going to Disney. And there was and it was like right after the election, and I was kind of like, oh, but there was a sticky note, and so we peeled off the sticky note, and it was like, in Tokyo.
Did you
So-
have a gong sound? Is it just when you said that?
In my head. So we
Expected.
flew into Tokyo. The very next day, we went to Osaka, spent a few days there. We went down to Hiroshima, spent a day there. We went back to Kyoto, spent a few days there, and then spent almost a week back in Tokyo.
So, what was the best part of the trip? Like the best thing that you saw, number one?
I don't know, because besides doing all of like the cool Japan things, like the bullet trains and the architecture and the temples and the castles and the culture, we also we went to Universal Studio. We went to Expo. We went to we went to Disney Sea that was in Tokyo. We ate sushi. We had ramen. We one of the places that we stayed at, he found on Airbnb, and it was a guest house that was part of a Buddhist temple.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, like it was, and then a couple nice hotels and a couple medium hotels, and like it was just a really great trip.
When did you get back?
Sunday at around 5.
So you're still kind of jet lagged?
I'm super jet lagged. My body says that it is midnight. I'm not sleeping through the night here. It took me a good, 3-4 days to actually sleep through the night when we got over there. And
Yeah, but
it's
when
definitely,
you're there, when you're on vacation, it's a lot easier to adjust there because there's so much to keep you going during the day. Here it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta work, but my bed's right over
I
there.
could have a nap. Yeah, I definitely napped yesterday.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, but it
Sounds
was
like you had a
also
good trip.
yeah, it was a really good trip. But it was one of those things that it was like, because it's so far away, and we upgraded the flight a little bit. We did like, what's it called? Premium economy. So the seats are a bit bigger, they recline a bit more. There's actually a footrest that comes off of the seat in front of us. So it was all very comfortable. I actually managed to get some sleep, but the chances of like going back are pretty slim.
Yeah.
So like literally every day we had at least one thing planned. So the Fitbit said that I think the majority of days were like 18 to 20,000 steps, which is a lot more than Amanda does working from home.
Yeah.
So it was tiring. I got even though I wore my gym shoes, I've got a couple blisters. I'm always excited to go away on a trip, but I'm always very excited to come back.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like you had a good trip.
It was
Well,
good.
we're glad to have you back. Were there any tech related things that you encountered over there? They're supposed to be
Did
super
you go to the
advanced.
electronics market?
You know what?
That
We did
famous
go
one?
to
I
that
forget the name of it.
7-story. You know what? I always forget the name of it too. It is 7 stories. It is electronics. It is gadgets. It is everything. And it was like even Andrew even said that he felt that he should buy something because we were there. But the couple of things that he was interested in, he looked at Amazon, and Amazon.ca had a better price. So it was
Yeah.
like, do you buy it because, because you're in Japan and electronics are supposed to be crazy, or do you, not have to worry about bringing it home on a plane?
Right.
And duty, or actually, when you're gone for 2 weeks, you're gonna
Yeah, there's
have a huge
usually no
limit
duty.
anyways.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
But one of the cool things that we did, and I would recommend this for anybody traveling, is that Andrew got a portable router.
A
So-
portable what?
Router.
Oh, okay.
So every hotel that we went to, you only had to have the router connect to the room's Wi-Fi, and then all of your devices would like automatically connect to the router.
Yeah.
Oh, because it broadcasts its own signal.
Yeah. And so then you'd go to the next place, and like all of your devices would just connect automatically once you have this one device connect to the internet that was in the hotel.
Yeah, it's like those. I think we all have that Deco thing,
Yeah.
right? Don't we? It's like that, but I assume much more portable, right? Something small. Was it small?
Yeah, it was very tiny. It was
Yeah.
very easy. I think it ran off of you plug it into a wall, but it had like a USB-C.
Is there,
Like,
is
that was
there
it.
any other advantage other than just making it easy for your devices to connect to the internet?
Well, think about it. When you're dealing with I had my phone and my tablet, and Andrew had his phone and his tablet and his laptop, and our kid had, his tablet. And so when you've got like these like 8 devices, and if you're like changing hotel rooms a few times, like even just the convenience, even just shutting up the kid of like
What's the Wi-Fi password?
internet. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
exactly.
need to know it. Just give it a second to turn on and you're set.
There might be a certain amount of firewall stuff in there too. I would think, maybe or maybe not. I don't know.
I'm
Yeah,
not
there's,
sure.
there's
Protections?
probably things like that you could do, or maybe like a simple VPN so you could route back to watch Netflix that you like when you're lying in bed at 3 in the morning and can't sleep.
Very possibly, yeah.
Nice. Well, that's good.
So,
That's
yeah,
good.
So what did I miss here back in Canada?
Not much from me. Just life going on.
Yeah, I've been, basically same old, working a lot. Fortunately, I've been hearing a lot about people who their work is slowing down. And I mean, so yeah, Sean has mentioned that very thing. But even not only in our industry, like just like other people having trouble that are in, the sort of service type stuff that we do, where they have clients of their own. And they're sometimes having difficulty with that. So it's like the whole AI thing is looming and all that. So I'm wondering where that's headed.
Last week I had 3 billable hours for the whole week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty, it's kind of scary. And I shared something today. I don't know if you guys got to look at it, something that I just heard from my wife.
I hit the splash page that that DeepMind thing.
Yeah, Google's DeepMind released something called VEO, which is a
Yeah,
new video model, AI video thing.
the splash page with the background video. Oh my God, that's all AI video. It
Yeah.
it looks absolutely flawless.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So
Where'd you put it?
It's in the
I
general
put it in the
channel on
Slack channel in
Slack.
general. Yeah, general channel.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how fast all that stuff is moving. And I heard a podcast interview today with Joshua Bengio, who was one of the godfathers of AI. He's one of the doomsday type guys who's like, we have to figure out how to control this because it could lead to our destruction, kind of stuff. And I just finished hearing that podcast, and then she told me about this VO thing, and I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, it's kind of depressing and terrifying and exciting and all these different things all at the same time, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go watch your favorite AI movie. Terminator, Matrix. Those are our playbooks. What we have to do. We have to go
Yeah, at
and
least we're familiar with them.
save John Connor.
Right. Of course, all you have to do to save John Connor is nothing, because they sent that guy back to fight the Terminator, which is the reason that John
Terminator
Connor
came
was
back.
born. If he just didn't go back.
Well,
I love
time
those little
travel's all
time loop things.
circular.
Yeah. Okay. If you want to get it, so we've been talking for 15 minutes now about not anything tech. Well, some of it was tech related. I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I've brought this up already or not, but we use like Craft a lot and CMSs that have content builders, right?
Yep.
Here's a scenario. I assume you guys, you're not designers, I realize, but let's say you get a project, you get a brief from a client where they say, here's a bunch of screenshots of what the pages are supposed to look like, that they want you to build out, right?
Yep.
Like design mock-ups or whatever. My question is, how do you decide which of those elements on which pages you will make part of a content builder such that they can add them anywhere in the site versus this particular page is going to look like this and it's not part of the builder? Do you know what I'm saying?
I make them all part of the builder for the most flexibility. And with Craft 5, if you use different matrix fields, you can enable different blocks on each one. So you could say, oh, you can't have this block on this particular matrix field if you wanted to.
Oh, really? You could do that?
Yeah, not. Sorry, you would have matrix 1, matrix 2. It wouldn't be different
Oh,
instances
gotcha.
of the same matrix. So,
I see, yeah.
and it's a lot, and because it's Craft 5, it's a lot more flexible in the future if they want it, because then you can just drag that in and add it. So I go for mass flexibility, and
Okay.
then I think it's just better to make everything a matrix block as much as possible.
Okay.
That's
Amanda,
my personal philosophy.
you got any thoughts on that?
It totally depends on the client. If the client
Okay.
is admittedly, oh, we're not technical, we don't know, I try to make it as easy as possible. And sometimes just having an open, all of the options is too overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I think we've
see
talked
that.
about this before, where it's like the page hero section that needs to be on every single page. And if you don't make it like separate required fields, not part of
Yeah.
the matrix block, they're going to forget. And then they're going to whine about why doesn't the page look
yeah,
like how it's
my
supposed to.
Right.
my hero is never part of the matrix field. It's a separate
Right.
thing because
Well,
it's
but
almost like you said, it's almost always required. I mean, I know you were just giving a theoretical example, but I wanted to clarify where I stand on that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I kind of do the same as you, Sean. I've been doing it like I'll just make this whole thing a big matrix field that can build pages, whatever. But I'm encountering more and more that I find it limiting in the sense that if you're making things blocks, effectively it's a row, right? It's like a horizontal row of stuff that appears above or below something else. And you can do stuff like margins that will make it slightly overlap the thing before it,
Yeah.
if that's what your design calls for, or whatever. But I find that as I'm building stuff out, when I think of things as blocks that must be repeatable, they tend to end up being very contained, and it sort of makes the design, it compromises the design of the entire page. Like it doesn't look like a cohesive page as much as I would like it to in some cases. So
Okay.
I'm starting to wonder, because Craft has all this entry type stuff, and I wonder if like I should sort of pull back a bit and start making it like, okay, there's different, say instead of different different matrix blocks you can build a page out of, maybe let them choose different entry types where it's like, okay, this page could look like any of these three layouts, but each of the three layouts has a certain amount of content in it. Just put it in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like it's too
Well,
much stuff.
and this is I feel what almost always happens. Like in the beginning with content management systems, I feel like we all probably did this, where there would be one set of fields for your generic pages about contact, etc. Or probably just like about, probably just about, and a couple of other generic pages. But then
Yeah.
your home page, you would have very specific fields to choose from. And maybe
Yeah.
the contact page would have very specific fields that
Yep,
you
been
needed
there,
to
done
fill
that.
in, because it would also have the map, or it would also have the form or something
Form,
like
yeah.
that. And so I feel like with and it happens with everything. We want to make things more customizable. We want to be everything to everybody, WordPress. We want to, try to make everyone as happy as we can be. And now it's kind of gone too far. And now the pendulum is going to start swinging back in the other direction.
More
And
control for the
more, a
from the
little more
designer.
controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not to like take away all of the options from the users, from the content editors, but like maybe they don't want to see all the options. Maybe all the options are overwhelming. Maybe it's unnecessary. Yeah, maybe for a blog post, I want to have the content builder so I can put in absolutely anything in any layout that I want. But, like for like static pages about contact, learn more, like maybe we don't need to have all of that all the time.
Yeah, what you're talking about with the being overwhelmed, and Mike also said that just made me think about choice paralysis.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody's familiar with it. It basically goes back. This is not necessarily for you guys, but for listeners who may be unfamiliar with choice paralysis. Goes back to like shopping. You go into a convenience store and you want a cold drink. If there are 3 or 4 choices, you're going to buy a drink because you know which one you like. I like Coke, I like Sprite, I like Pepsi, I like Mountain Dew. Which one, right? I'm going to choose one of those, easy. But now you walk into a convenience store, you're overwhelmed with like dozens and dozens of different colas and then dozens and dozens of energy drinks. What do I want? I don't know what I want. And then you walk away. Like more people will buy less. So it's overwhelming. It's the same idea, choice paralysis. In this case, choice paralysis of what type of, how do I want my content to look for each section?
Well, and especially because like the design, the layout of a web page, like even just that is a huge, like this one section, do I want to add an image? Do I want it on the left or on the right? Like even sometimes that is way too much. And a billion percent, when I am presented with too many options, I am head in the sand. I don't want to do it. I put it off
Yeah.
for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah, but I can, at the same time, I can see, like Sean, you were alluding to, the concept of future proofing things, in the sense that if you have a robust content builder, it could be used in your boilerplate for future sites. And if you have an element that generates an accordion element, well, it's already in there, and you know what I mean. And you're
Right.
investing in your future sites as well by having all these different options. So I can see that value as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but having it in a boilerplate makes sense, because then if you don't need it for that client, you can just strip it out.
Yeah, yeah,
And I, for the boilerplate, I only add things that are kind of common across most sites. But for a specific client, then I might be more discriminating about what I include on a particular content builder, because this content is really only needed for the staff page, but we don't need it on
Yeah.
the page about products. Like, I don't know, I'm just making stuff up right now, but
Yeah. Well, I had a client one time ask me, so I was working with another agency that was working with this client as well. So they hired me to build the site. They hired these people to sort of do the writing.
yeah,
And they had asked me, that other writing company asked me for word counts for like this section about the mission statement or the whatever vision thing or what we do, whatever. What is our word count that we have to work with in your web pages? And I was explaining to them, I build the site based on what the content is. The content is first. It's a content first design. I don't tell you, you're going to, because I think this comes from the WordPress themes world where you have like header image, card, row of logos, the same layout. And they're like, okay, this card will accept 50 words maximum. So write for that space. I think that's what they were expecting me to say.
yeah.
But I don't, so that's an extreme version of this is the layout of this page and this is what you got to work with. You don't get the option of adding other blocks and et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes that happens, but it's pretty rare in my experience. Do you guys ever get from you work with agencies and whatnot, do they ever tell you this particular element on this page, we want them to be able to add it on other pages? Have you ever gotten that instruction from people who
Yes,
provide you designs?
and that is why I now try to, when I'm building out the page builders, is I try to have it so it's available on most sections by default, especially with Craft 5. It's a lot easier. Previously with Craft 3 or 4, we would have different content builders, and I would build it out for the specific section where they asked for this new block. And a few months later, they'd be like, "Oh, we want that new block over here." So then I would
Yeah.
have to go and duplicate the fields and and thankfully with Craft 5 now I just add that block in and it just
Yeah.
works.
It's pretty cool.
So yeah, I do find that it comes from time to time. Now the issue that can create some difficulty is that we want this block on this section, but now we want to add a new feature or we want to add a new constraint. In which
Yeah.
case, I start adding toggle switch fields so that turn
Yeah.
off the background color or increase the font size on the header or whatever it is. So there'll be a bunch of toggles or selects in an options tab for
Right.
that particular block. So it can get a little bit out of control for the amount of micro options, and I just coining that phrase right now.
Nice.
Micro options for each block, and it adds to the complexity of the templating as well because you're adding in additional conditional fields and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a conundrum because yeah, especially with Craft 5, it's very flexible now. You can add any field to any matrix block and it can be very repeatable and you change it
It's
once, it changes
so
everywhere.
flexible that it can just become infinitely complex at the same time.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
have
Yeah.
to you have to be careful and constrain it, or just say, look, you're going too far down this rabbit hole of nesting things. No, like
Yeah.
just no. No is a full sentence. It works.
And that's always the way, isn't it? Where they say like, oh, we want this new page to be a combination of this page and this other page. They always want to like Frankenstein stuff like
Yeah.
that, I find. And I don't know, you could say no, I guess. I mean, at a certain point you have to kind of say, well, are we going to respect the design here or are we going to just go crazy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And use it as
Yeah,
a starting
and
point only.
there also you have to worry about performance issues the more complex things get too. So that's
That's
another
true.
thing. It's like, hey, you're gonna slow down the page, or you're gonna we're gonna run into server issues because we're doing too much or whatever.
Yeah. And especially if
Right.
it's just like a one off. Like we want to add this one option just for this one page, but now that option is available everywhere, and somebody's going to come in some other time and start messing with it in other sections where they shouldn't be.
Yeah, I've even thought about asking when they request stuff like this, like, are you likely to want this on other parts of the site? But then I started thinking, well, I don't, even that, like the choice paralysis, I don't want them to have to consider that. When
Yeah.
I'm just the guy building the site, I don't want them to think, oh, am I going to do this in the future? I have no idea. And like you said, Amanda, maybe someone else will come into the office, like a new staff member or whatever, and they want to do something different. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, so I think that if the site's on Craft 5, just build it as a matrix block, and maybe you don't add it to every matrix field, but when they ask you in the future, hey, we now want this this 3-row of whatever on this other section, then he's like, oh yeah, sure, and drag, drop, done.
And bill for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of that, I recently did have a client say to me, hey, we have all these sponsor logos that we want on this particular page. This is for a site that I built a year and a half ago. And I was able to say, oh, we actually have something very similar on this other page. Do you mind if we just use that? It was like a series of cards or whatever. And they were fine with it. And it was like super easy to achieve. And I was very proud of myself that I'd made that block exist and be reusable. So it's nice when it happens. If anyone's watching this later, because no one watches live, but they do watch later, please say in the comments there how you handle, do you make everything a repeatable block in your sites, or do you kind of just say this is the design of this page? How do you handle it? I'd be curious to know whether you're a designer or not.
Yeah, I'm actually curious how other people work, because I knew that we were all pretty similar. I would love to hear how other people work.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, it's almost noon. Should we wrap it up? What do you think?
I
think
think
yes.
so.
All right, well, it's good to be back at this. Amanda, good to have you back.
Absolutely.
Sean, I haven't even seen you in a very long time, so
Yeah, we
I'm
should
glad
go
to
out
see
for
you both.
drinks soon.
I'm the glue. I'm
We
the glue that
show-
holds
yeah, you
everyone
are. You're
together.
the-
You are the
Okay, thanks everyone. Bye.